Good evening. Good evening. All right, we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna do a couple things. If you do have a seat, we're gonna do this old school Baptist, little old school Methodist. If you see a seat next to your empty seat, we're gonna have you squeeze in a little bit. We're gonna try to get some more seats. We're not gonna try to break fire code, so we don't want to have any problems. Uh, we don't want the constable to shut us down. But if Miss Cox, you need a seat, or you got a seat? You got a seat? Okay, all right. All right. I, all right, all right, all right. So a couple things, two things. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Jamal Williams. I'm the executive administrator for Commissioner Roderick Miles. I'm gonna give you the overview for this evening, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. So a couple things. We have an opening statement regarding redistricting tonight. The commissioner will address everyone. We'll do a map presentation, and then we'll go to public comment. Okay? All right. So we're going to try to make this as comfortable as possible. I know we have a packed house. We dealt with the space we have and the time limitations that we have. So we'll go ahead and go into the redistricting opening statement for the night. Good evening, and thank you for attending this public hearing regarding the potential redistricting of Tarrant County Commissioner precincts. If anyone is required translation service in Spanish, Vietnamese, or ASL, please notify a staff member at the sign-up desk over here. I believe that's stage right, y'all's left. Give you a little background regarding the redistricting efforts. On April 2nd, 2025, the Tarrant County Commissioners Court approved an agreement with the public interest legal firm PILF to provide legal guidance and consultation on possible modifications to the commissioners' district boundaries in preparation for the 2026 primary and general elections. Access to proposed redistricting materials. Handouts containing proposed redistricting plans are available at the sign-up desk and on display and accessible online. Additional attendees may sign up or scan a QR for handouts or displays to access this information, as well as details of upcoming public hearings and procedures for submitting maps and opportunities to provide public comment. Public participation and comment submission during this hearing, members of the public will have an opportunity to share input regarding the proposed map options. Anyone who wishes to speak must complete, sign, and submit a public comment form at the sign-up desk. If you have not and yet to submit a form and would like to provide remarks this evening, please do so at the signing desk. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to provide their comments, with time monitored by a timer. The timer is right here, and you'll see it in front of the podium, okay? And you will hear a little alert when your time is up. For those who prefer not to speak publicly, written comments may be submitted via the Tarrant County Redistricting website, referenced earlier, or through the QR code on display. Additional opportunities to provide input to members of the public may also provided at the Commissioner's Court on May 20th during a designated public comment. I will add that to sign up for public comment on that meeting, you must sign up 24 hours before, the day before, no later than 5 p.m. Public comment forms can be found on the website on the public comment where you sign up for the agenda. The following posted meeting with the agenda occurs no later than 72 hours before the meeting agenda. All right? As I mentioned through the agenda, as I talked about the set agenda, when we get to the public comment section, our staff, our administrator's office will call each speaker up to be able to speak, okay? All right. Couple things here. I do not quite see him currently, but we do have a representative from the law firm who is either in the room or on the way, okay? We do ask that we give everybody an opportunity to speak, right? This is what a public comment opportunity is. So we ask that you remain respectful and open to listen to everybody having an opportunity to speak. This session is also being recorded. It will be available on the Tarrant County website the next day, so you can review it and have it, review the recording, and it can be used for later on. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our Tarrant County Commissioner of Precinct 1, Roderick Mouse Jr.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here tonight. This is a watershed moment because this room is filled with so much diversity. It's important that the people have an opportunity to speak and express their feelings regarding redistricting. So it does my heart joy to see so many people in the room. We are standing room only, participating in the process. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. That's applause worthy. We are gathered in the heart of Lake Como. We got some Comoites in the room. All right. A community that has long stood as a symbol of resilience, strength, and conscience. But tonight's conversation is not just for Lake Como. It is for every family, every neighborhood, and every voice across Precinct 1 and all of Tarrant County. Because what is happening with this redistricting process does not threaten one community alone. It threatens the foundation of representation and fairness for us all. Let me say this as clearly as I can. This redistricting process is not representative of who Tarrant County is. It's not fair and it's not transparent. And it is certainly not rooted in any genuine desire to serve the people. What we see unfolding is a process captured by politics, engineered by the Public Interest Legal Foundation, or better known as PILF, a firm that refuses to answer the public, dodges questions from the court, and hides behind silence. PILF is not here to represent the residents of Tarrant County. They are here to serve the will of 3 individuals who sit on the Commissioner's Court. And I need that to be clear because the narrative that is being put out is that the whole court approved redistricting, that the court approved hiring PILF as its legal representative. The entire court did not vote for that. There were 3 individuals who voted for that, and there were 2 who voted against it, myself and Commissioner Simmons. And those 3 individuals who voted in favor of those things are Judge Tim O'Hare, Commissioner Manny Ramirez, and Commissioner Matt Krause. That is not democracy, my friends. That is control. And then it didn't have to be this way. In 2021, the Tarrant County Commissioners Court, under both Republican and Democratic leadership, retained a respected Texas law firm to assist with redistricting. That firm reviewed the latest census data and confirmed that the precinct maps in place, originally drawn in 2011, still met the legal population variances required by law. With that data in hand, the Commissioners Court, through a bipartisan 4-to-1 vote, formally voted to adopt those maps again in 2021. So let me set the record straight. Redistricting has happened. It happened in 2021. There will be individuals who will say that redistricting hasn't happened in over 15 years. But go and check the record. Put in the open records request, and you will see that redistricting did happen in 2021. Just because someone says it didn't happen doesn't make it the truth. You see, the truth matters, because without it, we lose everything. And when we abandon truth in favor of raw power, what we put at risk is not just the process, it's the public's trust itself. Tonight's public hearing, like the one PILF held yesterday in another part of the county, is not really meaningful public engagement. It is a performance, an orchestrated show meant to check a box, not to hear a community. A firm that refuses to fully present data, refuses to answer questions, and refuses to explain the maps it drew with taxpayer funding cannot claim to be listening. My friends, silence is not transparency. Sitting in a room is not accountability. And staging public hearings while withholding the truth is not how you honor the people you serve. What we are witnessing tonight and through this process, more than a flawed political process, it is a moral failure. A failure to honor the voices of our neighbors. A failure to uphold the promise of equal representation. And a failure to lead with courage instead of fear. There is a moment in Scripture that speaks directly to this kind of injustice. A warning from the prophet Isaiah that echoes across time. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, to deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people. Isaiah 10, verses 1 through 2. That's not just ancient wisdom. That is a mirror to what we are seeing unfold right here in Tarrant County. When lines are drawn to silence communities, when public hearings become empty rituals rather than real dialogue, that is not governance. That is oppression wearing the mask of process. This effort is not about roads and numbers on a map. It is about power, plain and simple. It is about silencing the communities that are reshaping what leadership in Tarrant County looks like. And that fear, the fear of change, the fear of growing diversity, and the fear of communities rising to claim their rightful place in public life is what drives this process. And no community has been more targeted than Lake Como. Three out of the 5 proposed maps strip Como out of Precinct 1. A community that has stood for decades as a voice of moral clarity and civic strength is being cut out. Deliberately, attempt to silence one of the strongest, most principled voices in this county. But here's what those behind this process seem to forget. Lake Como has never been asked for permission to speak. Como has always spoken truth to power. Como has never backed down. Como has never been afraid, and neither am I. From the beginning, I have challenged this process, not out of politics, but out of principle. Because when democracy is twisted to serve the powerful, it is the people who suffer. And I did not run for office to protect the comfort of a few. I ran to defend the rights and dignity of many. So let me be clear. I would not allow this community or any community in Precinct 1 or across Tarrant County to be pushed aside. I would not let this flawed process go unchallenged or unchecked. And I would not stand by while the people who built this county are told they no longer belong in its future. Because justice does not belong to those who shout the loudest. It belongs to those who stand firm when pressure arises. It belongs to those who show up, not just in moments of celebration, but in moments of challenge like each of you. And so, to every neighbor who feels overlooked, to every community that has been told to wait, and to every voice that has been ignored, I say this: you, my friends, are not alone. I hear you, I see you, and I stand with you. Tarrant County residents deserve better. They deserve transparency. They deserve accountability and a redistricting process rooted in fairness, not one driven by political ambition. We will not be silent. We will not be erased, and we will keep fighting for together the future of our communities that they deserve. And let me go off script for just a second. I want you to pay attention and observe the actions of the people we elected to represent us. Don't merely listen to their words, look at their actions. Last night, there was a redistricting meeting, and the commissioner that represented that district was nowhere to be found. But he set the date for the event, but he was conveniently absent. Look at the ones who show up for you, to listen to you, to hear your frustrations, to hear your concerns. Those are the ones who represent you. I need you to hear their silence, because the silence of those who say they represent you is deafening. I don't want you to miss that. The silence of those who are representing you is deafening. It's sending a clear message that you're not important. Your opinion doesn't matter. We're going to do what we want to do with or without you. Listen, my friends, to what they are saying to you. Thank you. No more maps. 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 What we have works just fine. And as I take my seat, my friends, this time is for you. For your voice to be heard by the one you chose to represent you. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do a quick map presentation. Before I get started, the representative from the law firm is here. Sam, if you could raise your hand. He's here somewhere, but the representative is here. But
We have a seat right up front just for him. All right, folks. All right. All right. We do not want to make that representative feel threatened. We are not going to do anything to him. We just want him to be in the room so that he can hear. So I'm asking the PILF representative to please come forward and have a seat in the room. The least you can do, because you're cashing a check, is be in the room where the people who are being impacted by the work that you're doing can see you and know that you are representing that firm. So please come in the room. Come in the room. But what we're not going to do is waste time waiting for somebody to come in the room that doesn't want to be in the room. We're going to remember that they aren't in the room. And we're going to hear from the people. So this is my last appeal. Representative from the law firm, please make your way in the room. We have a seat just for you. His name is what? Samuel? Samuel Simmons? Samuel what? Samuelson. Mr. Samuelson is his name. Mr. Samuelson. Thank you, Mr. Samuelson, for being here tonight. Although you are outside the room, we thank you for being here. At least you showed up. Let's move forward.
All right. So I'm gonna go over. All right. All right. So we're gonna look at the maps. So if you haven't had a chance. So if you hadn't had a chance to look at the map or see where the maps are on the county website, so we're gonna spend a little bit to talk about the maps, and then talk a little bit about not only how the maps eliminate a little bit of the representation of our communities, but also how it completely reshapes Precinct 1 and Precinct 2. And not only does it affect them, but it also affects our staff. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and it talks about the representation of the county, and we'll go from there. So on the county homepage, you'll go right here to Redistricting 2025, and you'll click on this link, and it'll pull up all the maps, all right? So the current map that they have here is our current map that you'll see there, and I'll actually go through a display. But one of the things that you'll see in all five maps, there's a very similar shape in all the maps. So I'll just click on them, and so you can kind of get an idea, and then I'll kind of go through that and give you an idea. So this is our map 1, option 1. This is option 1. We're gonna move through this, and then like I said, I'll do a zoom in here in a second. Here's our We are, yes, I will. I'll catch on all that. Here's our option 2. Okay. All right. Yes, I'll go to option 3. Okay, and here's option 3. You can kind of and I'll talk a little bit to what Commissioner Miles was mentioning about how Como is drawn out of 3 out of the 5 maps, and there are only 2 maps that contain Como. And then one of the things I'll tell you, you really, if you don't study maps, you really have to zoom in to see that this is match 4, and then this is our current last map 5. Okay. I'm going to use for our reference, I'm going to use map 1 and our current map as our base map for this demonstration to kind of give y'all a baseline idea of what these look like, okay? First thing I want to talk to you about, if anything you know anything about county commissioners are known for roads and bridges. They maintain the county roads and bridges. That's in unincorporated areas. So precinct 1 and 4 have the most unincorporated areas because they're in the farther western of the county, and they have the most incorporated areas, and they have the most roads and bridges. So I want you to look at the first current map. Excuse me, that's the wrong one. And if you can see that, this is a map, and it shows you the current roads and bridges for the precincts. So as you can see there, I think Joe, where's Joe? Joe, he may have stepped, Joe's back there. Joe, how many current road, Joe and Rick, they work in our maintenance, our director and our assistant director, thank y'all for being here. How many miles of road do we have in precinct 1, county roads?
We have 167 lane miles of asphalt and about 47 lane miles of concrete.
Okay, and where did that put us at compared to the other precincts?
Precinct 4 is the only precinct that's above us. They have like 5 linear miles more than we do. If I'm not mistaken, the last count was precinct 2 has about 27, and precinct 3 has about 30 or 31.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at map 1. Now, remember, most of the maps have pretty much the same shape, all right? Same thing. So we look at county roads, all right? Now, let's look at how that looks at precinct 1. So based on, same thing, Rick and Joe, again, these are the experts, I'm gonna let them speak a little bit. So when we change that now, for precinct 1, how many, we go from 165 to how many roads?
Last calculation, we go from 167 to less than 1.
All right. And now, I remind you, this uniform shape is the same in all, right? So it really doesn't matter which map that is adopted, this will take out all of Commissioner Miles's county roads and bridges. So I want to talk to you about, again, the economic impact that talks to his area, right? And they've moved all those roads into the newly drawn precinct 2, okay? Right. Well, the newly proposed precinct 2. Not only that, I'm gonna zoom in. Currently, Commissioner Miles has 2 offices in precinct 1. One is in Southwest Fort Worth on Granbury Road, and then he has another office in Miller in the southeast side of Fort Worth. And he currently has a maintenance facility that's off 1187 in Crowley. Under the proposed, any way the maps are drawn, if you look at it, if we zoom in really closely, and I'm gonna zoom, this is close here, sorry. In the southwest side of Fort Worth here, if you look in his office is now, I have to go down a little bit, off here off Cranberry, went a little bit farther, but his office has now been drawn out of precinct 1. His home still stays. That would be a kind of a violation of the Voting Act. But his office is now, his southwest office is now drawn out of precinct 1. His new office would put him, he would have the Miller office, but now his second office would be in Mansfield in Broad Avenue. Right. Now, the other part of that is that I'm glad we have our constables and our justices of peace there that we work with. The way the maps are drawn, we work closely in precinct 1, and we overlay with our justice of peace. We work with our Justice Peace Campbell here in his office, and then we work with Judge Woodard. Now, if we move and have an office in Mansfield, that does not interline with the Justice Peace Office and the Constable's office out there, right? There's no connectivity out there. So they're moving, these are the systematic things that they're also doing. I want to go one other farther to talk about when we talk about the maintenance facility and how they've drawn the maintenance facility out of our area. So now, since They do not have a maintenance facility in down 1187, which is now in precinct 2, which would technically give precinct 2 two maintenance facilities. And that means precinct 1 does not have a maintenance facility, right? And we have staff, our directors there, that goes away. And we don't know what that means for our staff, our directors, and things like that for them, right? That has to be communicated and talked about what's next for them, right? Also, if we talk about the financial impact, right? If he has to move, Commissioner Mouth then would move all of his things and all of his office space out of Southwest to Miller, and then move all of his staff over to the Mansfield office. And the same thing, I think we have precinct 2 representatives that were here. I thought Gerald here earlier. Yes, they would have to then financially move all their stuff out too and move to the other way. So I think there are hidden costs here that people are not talking about that go beyond the 30,000, right? And other things that go into it, right? And as the commissioner had mentioned, it's not, our commissioners who are pushing this that has to talk to those families about the uncertainty of their employment future. It's this man right here that has to go down there and talk to the facilities and the staff about what does redistricting impact his staff, right? So these are the things we don't talk about. We talk about the racial components of it, right? We understand that. But there are bigger things at play. There are people's livelihoods, their futures, their families that are going to be infected by redistricting and why these maps. There are people who work and live based on where they work at, and now are going to have to commute all the way onto the other side of the county because of what has happened. And we know what type of economy we live in now. We can't give up jobs, right? These are the things that are affecting us that no one's talking about, right? That are financial impacts that can go beyond the millions of dollars that are focused on us right now. So there are various aspects of it that we want to go into that we just want to kind of highlight to y'all and bring into it. One thing that I will show very quickly that people also know we talk about the importance of education, and we've heard commissioners talk about the importance of education and focus, and there is a overlay by school districts. Historically, precinct 2 has only have represented 3 districts, Arlington, Kennedale, and Mansfield. Under the new map, they would be a part of 7 different school districts, because they now would move over and cover Arlington, Kennedale, Mansfield, part of Everman, Fort Worth ISD, Aledo, and go all the way up. So these are impacts, and we work with these areas on beyond a different level. So we are here to tell you, these are the things that we're fighting for, and we need you to fight for it, to bring to attention, because there are bigger issues at play, bigger than our representation that's also at stake, but it's also our staff and our county and employees that are here that are being threatened about redistricting, okay? And I know a lot of people have submitted maps. We really thank you. We will let you try to display them when you do come up. I'll try to pull them up for you. You can have them on screen during your 3 minutes. But we want to highlight a couple of these things so you help you understand. When you go onto the district, onto the county website, there are different various overlays you can put on there so you can look and drill down to really see that. I will also say, if you've historically, and I'm gonna wrap up so we can get to public comment, if you've historically also been represented by precinct 1, you might wanna go check your address, because you may change and now be represented by 2, right? That may be somebody in Arlington, that may be someone else, but this may really shift who your representative is. And you may have been represented by somebody for 20 years or office for 20 years, and now it can be completely different. So that's all we want to do on map display. We're going to turn it over to public comment. We do know there was a couple people that did have some maps. We'll try to get them on screen for you so you can have that during your public comment time. Okay? Thank y'all so much. All right.
Our first speaker will be former Tarrant County Commissioner Devin Allen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for dedicating your time to be here this evening. As former county commissioner and ex officio road commissioner for Precinct 2, a champion for a complete 2020 census count in Tarrant County, as well as an advocate for fair lines that uphold the rights of all, including at the state level, I was incredulous to hear Judge Tim O'Hare falsely claim that the county has not redistricted in over a decade. This is a flat-out lie and a dishonest excuse to hide his plan to undermine the voting strength of minorities. I shouldn't be surprised that O'Hare's continual attacks on people of color, given O'Hare's continual attacks on people of color, like when he told Commissioner Simmons to sit down and be quiet, or when he proudly claimed that if you are a Republican and haven't been called a racist, you haven't done anything. Let me set the record straight. I was on the court in 2021 when we conducted a thorough and lengthy redistricting process following the release of the 2020 census data. In 2021, the court retained the law firm of Bickerstaff Heath out of Austin to conduct the process on behalf of the county, analyze the new census data, and make recommendations to the court. There were extensive court briefings held in public as well as numerous town halls, including in my precinct as well as others. We listened carefully to citizens and local elected officials to gather their input. Because the law firm found that the population growth was relatively equal in each commissioner's precinct and that the current map was within deviation and already demonstrated that it was lawful, valid, and respected the growth of minority communities, the decision was made to adopt the current map until the next census of 2030. To be clear, the process took months. The map was voted on by both Democrats and Republicans on the court and passed near unanimously. That process stands in stark contrast to this rushed, mid-decade total and intentional assault on the voting rights of minorities in Tarrant County. From the hiring of PILF, a known national law firm designed to undermine voting rights, where's Sam, to the introduction of 5 maps that with absolutely no underlying data just days later, to the packing and cracking of Black, brown, and Asian voters in Precinct 1 and Precinct 2. The evidence is clear that Judge O'Hare will stop at nothing to attack minority voters and the rights we have under the Voting Rights Act. I implore the court to do the right thing. Drop this whole racial power grab and get back to the real business of this county. If not, prepare for a fight and prepare for very costly litigation. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Deputy Wilmington with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office. The Community Center have asked respectively if everyone is parked in the main driveway of the Community Center to just please find other parking. I know parking is limited, but they have respectfully asked if anyone is parked there to please move their vehicles. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Deborah Guerrero. Deborah Guerrero. Deborah Guerrero. Suzanne Mabe, M-A-B-E.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Miles, for that speech. It's a lot worse than I thought it was going to be, these maps, and what it's really scary to see what they've done with the maps. I'm a resident of Manny Ramirez District, and I want to speak out about the proposed redistricting of the districts in Tarrant County because it's a blatant case of racial gerrymandering. Tarrant County Commissioner Districts, District 1 and 2 have been torn apart and totally reconfigured, while 3 and 4 have seen very little change. We see what you're doing, and it's clear you are attempting to make Districts 1 and 2 easy for a Republican to win, and while making it harder for minority communities to elect reps that reflect their concerns. The Public Interest Legal Foundation was hired by Commissioners Court, who in turn hired the executive director and president of the National Republican Redistricting Trust, that's a mouthful, to draw the maps. And PILF stated the maps were drawn based on the preferences expressed by some commissioners. Well, what about the statistics and the population groups and all the stuff they talked about? Does this sound fair to anyone? No. Well, to quote from my friend Pablo Calderon's letter to the editor of the Star-Telegram in Sunday's May 11th edition, Tarrant County's proposed redrawing of commissioners' precinct lines mid-census prompts a question: why? The probable intent is to create 3 Republican-controlled districts. And his letter, and Pablo's here, I don't hope I'm not embarrassing him. His letter also makes a good case that Republicans are not 75% of Tarrant County, so they do not deserve 3 out of 4 districts. Pablo has worked on redistricting in Tarrant County since the first single-member city council districts were drawn. He could probably draw a much better map than the president of the Republican Redistricting Trust. I'm asking that you put off redistricting until after the 2030 census, and then hire a nonpartisan group of experts to draw the maps so we get fair and unbiased districts. Thank you.
Deborah Navratil.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Deborah Navratil, and based on some general research that I have done, I've found that between 2010 and 2020, the population of Texas increased by 4 million people, making it the second largest state following California. Based on the 2024 census, the population of Tarrant County increased by 23%, one of the most popular counties for people to move to. Therefore, it stands to reason, based on these population changes, that redistricting should be implemented to reflect the political demographics and better serve the population, which is, of course, the stated goal of every elected official. This country is a republic. In a republic, it is the people that rule, regardless of the lines drawn on a map. And I believe that voters who live in Como have the same values as those who live in Westover Hills, of God, family, and community. So I respectfully request the Commissioners Court to move forward with redistricting, as it is legal and necessary based on this information. Thank you.
Daryl Davis.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Davis. I proudly serve as the president of the Crowley ISD Board of Trustees, as well as running to represent Lake Como, as well as Southwest Fort Worth on the Fort Worth City Council. And while I am honored to serve, and prayerfully I will continue to do so, I am here tonight representing myself, a proud Fort Worth native, a District 6 resident, and I'm frankly Taylor and Gavin's dad. One of the things that I always tell my kids is that we will not back down to bullies. No matter how big, no matter how loud, no matter how perceivably powerful they seem to be. The only way that we will defeat bullies is to show up, speak up, and stand up. And I have to tell you that I am encouraged tonight because we have shown up. We are speaking up, and you better believe we are standing up. And I believe that it is incumbent upon all of us to speak up and speak out when communities of color are being surgically plucked out of one district and jam-packed in another district to intentionally water down our vote. It's important that we stand up, that we speak up, and that we show up when voters across this county are having their voices minimized. The damage that this unnecessary and politically motivated smash and grab will do cannot be emphasized enough, but I'll try to state it plainly. Redistricting at this time will do irreparable damage to our communities. We have to implore the court to uphold the rights of all Tarrant County voters. Leave the commissioners' precincts as they are, as presented in the current map. Now, it is not lost on any of us that this process is rigged. But I say it publicly, it should not be lost on those members of the court that are attempting to disenfranchise voters of color that we will fight this. We will fight till hell freezes over, and then we'll fight on the ice.
Cheryl Bean.
Hello, I am Cheryl Bean, and I'm here to speak in favor of redistricting. Specifically, I'm in favor of map 1. And there's two major reasons why I'm doing that. Number one, despite what's been said, Tarrant County has not been redistricted, as stated here. That choice has not been made since 2020, or since 2010, or whatever. And the reality of it is the only, please give me the respect that I gave every one of you. This is the only large metropolitan county in the entire state of Texas that has not been redistricted since 2010. Secondly, if you look at the population growth and shifts, they have changed drastically in that last 15 years. And this district no longer reflects its political population. I'm not saying racist, I'm saying political, and political should have no color. If you look at, to be perfectly blunt, my sister has blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, and she is as Democrat as is the day is long, okay? So there should be, and I don't see colors there, that's beside the point. But respect, please. Both Dallas and Houston have redistricted in 2020. Why did they do it? To increase their population Democrat. Specifically, Dallas went 5 Democrats to 0 Republicans. Houston went 4 Democrats to 1 Republican. If that is democracy, to go to majority Democrat via redistricting, then having a redistrict 1 in a red county go more Republican, perhaps by their maps, is equal democracy. Thank you.
Sharon Austrie.
Hello, my name is Sharon Austrie, and when I was reading about the redistricting, all I could think about was the story of when we first moved here 40 years ago, and we put our 7-year-old son in a YMCA flag football team, which we thought was wonderful until we found out that the coach wanted to win so badly that he was double tying all the flags on each child so that the other team could not pull the flag off. Now, that is exactly what's happening here. This is a way to cheat and to get what you want when you haven't gotten it in the past. So I say no.
Ashley Quintana.
Hi, my name is Ashley Quintana, and I live in Precinct 1, and I would be pushed out of Precinct 1 by all of these maps. Thank you, Commissioner Miles, for actually showing up to your precinct's meeting. I am against the redistricting proposal to change the precinct boundaries. This is a blatant act of voter suppression and intentional racial discrimination. Yes. This unusual mid-decade redistricting is an illegal power grab designed to intentionally undermine minority voting strength in Tarrant County. This all comes at a tremendous cost to taxpayers. The county judge put an estimated spending at $30,000 for just the initial phase of redistricting. I do not want my tax dollars to be spent on voter suppression. We cannot allow this attack on democracy to go unchallenged. The people of Tarrant County deserve fair representation, not backroom political maneuvers designed to strip them of their voice. Thank you. Based on the last election, Tarrant County is close to a 50-50 county. So the current map reflects that, and I support keeping the current map. Thank you.
Karen Horgan.
Hello, my name is Karen Horgan. I'm actually in Manny Ramirez's district. I went to that meeting last night, but he wasn't there. But I very much oppose this proposed redistricting. And after hearing the speakers today, this is way more messed up than I ever thought it was. There is nothing about this process that is fair or equitable or in the best interest of Tarrant County voters. This is straight up cheating, bending the rules, and disenfranchising voters just to retain control. This is an attempt to handpick voters. And if you notice on the new maps, the blue area looks suspicious. I mean, the new you know what I'm trying to say. It makes it clear that this is designed to undermine fair representation by putting most of the minority and Democratic voters into Precinct 1. At the May 5th meeting, when these maps were released, it was actually revealed that the firm selected by Judge O'Hare didn't actually draw these maps. The three Republicans on the court told the National Republican Redistricting Trust what they wanted to see in a map, and the NRRT drew them. This is an extremely politically motivated action, and frankly, it's just cheating to try to win. So I am asking to please keep the original maps.
Rebecca Buckner.
Hi there. I live in Precinct 1. I've lived there since 1984. And my district has been changed 3 times. I don't care what they say. I've had 3 different redistrictings in my area. I didn't like any of them. But life happens. Sometimes things happen and we don't like it, but you know, we can try to change it, which is why I'm here. So I'm not a good speaker. So I'm always reminded when I first got into helping with elections in 2010, there was a guy, he was from South Chicago. If you saw his picture, you'd know who he was, a little bitty, tiny, I think, he might have been a Puerto Rican guy. He was on TV all the time. And I one time looked at his district. His district had been gerrymandered to death so he would win that district. Now that was in Illinois, not here, but it can happen anywhere. So gerrymandering is what it is, and however this turns out, because I want the number one, that's what I want. If I don't get it, you know what? I'll still be fine. I live in a little deep blue area, little tiny houses, working class people. We all get along, they're great people, and I will survive if I don't get the map I want. And if something changes, I will change with it because I'm a grown-up. Okay, I'm not gonna do anything to anybody, not gonna try to hurt people, not gonna spread rumors, try to change anything. I'll just accept it. But, you know, people have a right to change things if that's what we wanna do. This is America, and that's all. God bless.
Lori Stelgis.
Thank you. I live in District 4, which is Commissioner Manny Ramirez's district. I'm here today to speak out against the redrawing of the county maps. I attended the May 6th County Commissioners meeting when Joseph Nixon from the Public Interest Legal Foundation, PILF, was present. He stated that the county had hired his firm to redraw the maps based on the changing population, yet his firm used the data from the 2020 census. That data is 5 years old, yet that's what they used. Not only that, but in 2021, it was deemed that there was not enough of a population shift between the 2020 and 2010 census to warrant the cost involved in redrawing new maps. Why was it not necessary to redraw them in 2021, but now in 2025, using the same data, it is necessary? $30,000 will be a drop in the bucket, not because this will surely be challenged in court, but also because the process will have to be revisited in 2030 after the next census. This process has been rushed with very limited meetings for community input. In 2022, I attended many of the city meetings where they considered new district maps. They spent months working on those maps and considered maps put forth by both residents and elected officials. I watched them work together to approve the new maps, and the vote was unanimous. The county, on the other hand, is holding only 4 community meetings to consider 5 new maps. How is this a good example of wanting community input? The residents of District 2 from Arlington and Mansfield voted for Alicia Simmons to represent them. Most of the new maps extend District 2 all the way through Crowley, west and south through Benbrook and Wheatland to the edges of our county. Residents of Arlington, which is more urban than Benbrook and Crowley, will contend for services against rural needs and vice versa. This will also impact employees for those districts. What's more, District 3 and 4 are largely unchanged. So what is the point of rushing this redistricting? I contend that it is to dilute the voices of Black and brown people in Districts 1 and 2 and to tilt county commissioner votes towards conservative policies. Commissioners, you were elected to represent us, not to serve specific parties. This is absolutely disgraceful. Do not redraw these maps. Keep the current district maps intact. You have not given the public enough time to understand the implications of the changes, and the new maps are not fair to residents living in District 1 or 2. The citizens must not stand for this, or it will be very much like the gerrymandering that took place with State Senate District 12. That redistricting changed District 12 from representing residents of Fort Worth to representing mostly rural residents of Parker and Wise County. Our voice was completely diluted, and we have yet to see that corrected. Let's not allow this to happen at our county level. Thank you.
Rebecca Maples.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Maples, and I live in Precinct 4. Been a Precinct 4 taxpayer for over 25 years. I just want to let Manny Ramirez know that I hope that God lays on your heart to make the right decision for the people of your precinct, and that you're on the right side of history, because history will be made. I have several concerns. First key issues is the legal and fiscal concerns. $30,000 of my taxpayer funds were spent on the process. I feel this is wasteful due to legal uncertainties and the risk of lawsuits, because they will come. It's not very cost effective of hiring PILF, given their history of repeated litigation in multiple states and alleged copy and paste legal strategies. Taxpayers are funding unnecessary legal fees and may face future financial burdens from those lawsuits. This is racial and political gerrymandering. The proposed redistricting constitutes racial gerrymandering, altering the racial compositions of our precincts. Minority populations of Black, Hispanic, and Asians are being manipulated by shifting boundaries to pact or dilute votes. The issue is also suggesting that proposed maps, they are designed to favor certain political interests over our community representation. We don't have integrity here, we don't have transparency, and we definitely don't have representation. The elected officials and representatives have not adequately explained the rationale behind the proposed maps. There's been misrepresentations and factual inaccuracies during previous meetings, especially by the PILF representatives. So current redistricting proposals do not reflect actual population change, as stated for other members that spoke. If they're using 2020 data, not the current 2024, that's just a moot point, because they're using old data. They should wait to the 2030 census. Specific cases and controversies involving PILF were listed, in the other meeting that I went to, and I was very concerned about that. There are the recent legal losses and pending cases in Texas, Oregon, Alabama, Pennsylvania, and other states. The impact of redistricting on our community infrastructure, such as the placement of sub-courthouses and maintenance facilities, and the inconvenience for citizens who would have to travel farther for representation. I'm really concerned about just this meeting format. Like, my meeting that I went to last night for Manny Ramirez basically lacked sufficient and formal context. It raised questions about why representatives, weren't available to answer our questions. Isn't that what this whole meeting is about? Yeah, we can't ask questions. So the proposed changes serve political agendas rather than benefiting citizens. They marginalize minority voters, negatively impacting future elections and community representation. So we need greater accountability from public officials and for a redistricting process to reflect actual community. Oh, time? Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Chris Tackett.
All right. The only data that we actually were presented behind all of the option maps that were put out was the political change, right, over the last several elections. That's not really the story about these maps. It's the demographics behind the maps, and it's the things the court didn't want you looking at or understanding. Now, we need to understand that Tarrant County is made up of 57% Black, Brown, and Asian community members per the 2020 census, right? 57%. When you talk about Precinct 1, the current makeup in Black, Brown, and Asian community members is 66%. There are none of these options on these maps that is lower than 77%. So they are packing District 1, Precinct 1. In Precinct 2, it's currently 60.1%. There is not one of these maps that take it any higher than 51. And there are multiple of these maps that take the percentage of Black, Brown, and Asian community members below 50. That is cracking. When you look at the average change across all of these districts in percent of Black, Brown, and Asian community members, Precinct 1, if you average all 5, it's plus 12 points. Precinct 2 is minus 11.5. Now we have to mention Precincts 3 and 4. Precinct 3 goes up 2.6%. Precinct 4 goes down 1.8. So realistically, those are negligible changes, right? So there is purpose behind these maps. It is all about removing voices and communities from Precinct 2 and forcing them into Precinct 1, diluting everybody's voice in those precincts. The court didn't want 2 voices on the court from those communities, so they are drawing the lines to make sure they don't have 2 voices. There is motive behind these maps. PILF has told us they didn't draw the maps, right? They talked to the commissioners and actually had the commissioners talk to Adam Kincaid, who is the executive director of the National Republican Redistricting Trust, and he drew the maps, and Commissioners Miles and Simmons have told us they told him we want the current map. So that means the judge and Commissioners Kraus and Ramirez said, we want the maps that racially gerrymander our county. So the change here is rooted in white Christian nationalism. It is the root of the rot of what is infecting this community, this country, and if we don't stop them now, they're going to go to other communities just like the weeds they are. Thank you.
Judge Sergio De Leon.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Como, the heart of Precinct 5. Glad to see everyone here. Commissioner, thank you so much for having this forum so my voice can be added to this conversation and so that people know that I object as a justice of the peace, as a judge for this area, I object to this redistricting process. I object to the timing, I object to the process, and I certainly object to the attacks on communities of color. And Commissioner was right. This is about the growth of diversity and the fear that they had that more voices could be added that they don't want to hear. And that's exactly what has happened, and the previous speaker hit the nail on the head that they're trying to silence one member, just minimize it to just one minority member of the court. We will not let that happen. With respect to the timing, there is no need to engage in a redistricting process right now. We need the new data from 2030, actually go through the process of seeing what the impact has been and the growth, and then draw some maps that's done in a fair, honest, and reputable manner. The process, this rush process, as the commissioner talked about, just checking the box. There are a lot of maps up here. We are all informed people and want to digest each one of these and see what the impact is to us. We can't do that properly when you have such a rush process. But why are they trying to rush it? Well, they want these maps conveniently in place for the next election cycle. That's what this process is so rushed. Now, let's talk about the impact to communities of color. Particularly, I want to draw attention to the Latino community. The Latino community has been primarily, it's grown all over Tarrant County, but historically, for over 20, 30 years, even beyond that, in precinct number 4 with the historic south side and north side making an impact in precinct number 4. What do all of these maps do? Well, they conveniently crack them out of precinct number 4, diluting the Hispanic voting strength in that district, fear that we might be able to make a change in that district, and they conveniently pack that into precinct number 1. All violations, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. We will not stand for that. So I implore our Commissioners Court to those 3 members to quit serving your self-interest and start looking at the public interest. Thank you.
Debbie Kretke.
Boy, I really hate following you. I want to talk a little bit, take you in a history lesson. First, let me say, and Roderick knows this to be true, I have been a proud resident of this district my whole adult life. And the thought of losing it breaks my heart. So I want to tell you a little story that Mike Moncrief, he was a senator and then he was mayor, told me about. He told me about something called the Tarrant County Way. And the Tarrant County Way says, setting aside your personal discomfort or inconvenience for the greater good, acting in solidarity with neighbors and the broader community, and facing difficulties with unity and cooperation rather than division. So let me give you a little more of a history lesson. Tom Vandergriff was a county judge from 1991 to 2007. That man was known for his humility, kindness, and grace. He believed that the future was Tarrant County. He didn't believe a portion of it was Tarrant County. He believed all of it was the future. So Judge Vandergriff's philosophy can be summed up as future-focused, community-centered, and action-oriented. So let's go a little further. Judge Whitley, Glenn Whitley, was the county judge from 2007 to 2022. He believed not only his way, but the people's way, and he said that every chance he got. For Whitley, the emphasis of his work in the county had always been about teamwork, working together. And he told me personally that that was the Tarrant County way, working together. That is no longer the case, and that makes me very sad. In fact, Judge Whitley, one of the last things he did was tell the new incoming judge, Tim O'Hare, the most important thing about Tarrant County is working together in collaboration. So, in honor of Tom Vandergriff, in honor of Glenn Whitley, I say we will not do this.
Robert Van.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm there have been so many fine speakers, and there are probably going to be a bunch more. I'm not going to take up much of your time. I am opposed to this redistricting. I've been attending the Commissioner's Court now as a part of the Tarrant Justice Group, dealing initially mostly with jail problems. And I've been attending these meetings and watching what happens there at the meeting. And one thing that hasn't been mentioned, a lot of the things, you know, racially and that sort of thing have been mentioned, but there is one member of the court who is a constant thorn in the judge's side. And she tries to keep him straight because she keeps publicizing some of the things that he's trying to do on the quiet and letting people know what's going on there. And he doesn't like that at all. And she happens to be the commissioner for Precinct 1. No, or 2, I'm sorry, 2, I beg your pardon. 2, I beg your pardon. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, and she is mostly in Arlington, and she is the reason, a big part of the reason why this is going on right now, and you can bet on it. So, but once again, I stand firmly against this recommission.
Ken Shimamoto.
My name's Ken Shimamoto. I actually live in Precinct 4. I wasn't able to make it to Azle last night, but I guess I'm not the only one who was unable to. I didn't grow up in Tarrant County, but I got here as quick as I could. I've been paying taxes here since 1978. During my time in the Air Force, I was stationed at Carswell. My kids all say y'all and fixin' too. So this is home. And when the current Republican Party county chair said that he wants all the Democrats to leave Tarrant County so they can have a conservative city on the Hill, I paused and reflected for a moment, and then I said to myself, I'm not going anywhere. I got a lot of sweat equity in this thing. I've seen a lot of change. I've seen a lot of growth. And for the most part, that's all been a good direction. But lately, not so much so. I'm looking at these maps, and the one thing they all have in common is these two little fingers of land in the new proposed Precinct 1. What is that all about? And we know what that's all about. It's about diluting and silencing people of color. It's a continuation of the flagrant disrespect and colossal arrogance that Judge O'Hare has shown to Mr. Miles, to Commissioner Simmons, and through them to all of their constituents. And I believe we should not stand for that, because we are the people of Tarrant County. We are the people who they nominally represent. And it's time for us to step up and sound off and let them know this will not stand. We need the maps from 2021 for the next election. Thank you.
Bill McKean.
Howdy, neighbors, and hello to my fellow political junkies. Since Commissioner Miles quoted from the Bible, I wanted to quote from Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so does one person sharpen another. Or to paraphrase it, so does one county commissioner sharpen another. Now, I want to say another saying, and I hate to be so obvious, but there's a saying, what goes around comes around. And I admit, I don't know if I'm the only Republican here, but I admit that I'm a political junkie. And I love partisan politics as long as it's in Austin or in Washington, D.C. We have too many problems at the county jail. We have too many problems in the Fort Worth ISD that need to be addressed through bipartisan, nonpartisan solution. I wish all the county offices were nonpartisan election. And I'll just confess that I was one of those. I worked for a Republican super PAC registering voters at the Southwest County Courthouse, and I used to have these talks with Commissioner Brooks, you know, and I've lived in Houston, Denver, LA, Topeka, Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. I'm from the oil and gas industry. People in Tarrant County don't know how blessed they are, that it's 50-50, and I don't know how it happened, but it seemed like a lot of the poorer neighborhoods are kind of diversified all throughout the county. That's a strength and that's a blessing. And I guess I support the current map, but I would rather see, you know, District 1 less gentrified. We need less gerrymandering, you know. And so, you know, let's just keep politics, you know, out of the county business. And I'll just say there's a lot of Republicans that aren't happy with Tim O'Hara or Beau French.
Read bills.
My name is Reed Bills, and I have been a resident of Precinct 1 since 1969, which is a long time. And I came here tonight to speak to Commissioner Miles and urge him to support Alyssa Simmons, who is under fire. She's the one that's going to lose her position. She's the one that Judge O'Hare has been tormenting. I, like Bob Vann, have been attending Commissioner's Court for over 2 years and have seen how he has treated her. And tonight is the first time I have heard Commissioner Miles speak out strongly against this map change. He has complained about not enough transparency and community input. That's not enough. He's got to take that speech he gave to us tonight to the Commissioner's Court and speak it in public. Thank you.
Charles Bills.
Somebody had mentioned that the Pilf law firm was paid $30,000 and they had no problem doing the collecting and cashing that $30,000 check part of their job, but the actual job of writing maps, they passed off to somebody else. And all 5 maps are basically the same map. It would be nice to see one where maybe, like, you know, I-35 goes right down the center and I-30 goes right through the center. Have those 4 and then tweak it a little bit to make everything match. You suggested that before, so I have to thank you for that. Anyway, that was pretty much it. Everything else was said better by that.
Karen Wiseman.
Howdy, y'all. I'm a 6th generation Fort Worthian,
and I have lived in the top of District 1 for the last 15 years. The area that I live in is very Republican, and especially now due to all of the Californians that have been migrating to our area, it's even more so. I have not had county representation for the last 15 years. My emails, text, and phone calls to Roy Brooks all went unresponded to. So I feel like I haven't had representation, and I know that's what all of you are asking for and want. I want the same thing, and I'm hoping Commissioner Miles will do better. I have not reached out to his office yet. So personally, I'm for map number 1. Really, I agree. I would like a map that would keep the neighborhoods together, so that you guys could be represented, we could be represented. But one thing I want to say is at the end of the day, we have a lot more in common than not, and I just pray that we won't let this issue divide us. Thank you.
Marquetta Clayton.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? That's a very old saying that goes a long way. I'm hearing a few folks talk in favor of redistricting, and specifically for option number 1, and I'm just so curious to know why there's not real meaning or substance behind why you're choosing option number 1, other than the spoon-fed script that I know has gone out telling you all to select option number 1. So the other reason nothing I've heard is it hasn't been changed in 15 years. Okay. And is it necessary? Does it need a change? What is wrong with our current map? People are saying the population has grown since 2020. That's all well and dandy, and it would matter if that data was being used, but it's not. So that point's mute. You're saying it's political but not racial, and you can't say that until you actually look at the shift in demographics and what these maps do. And I'm willing to bet my last $2 that the people that are saying that haven't looked, especially when you can't remember your own spoon-fed scripts, saying the county hasn't been redistricting since whatever the date is. So, even if you believe that it is political, that argument also fails. You can go and look at all of the election results, check out the countywide elections. There are contested races countywide, and I'd be interested for anybody speaking for political position to tell me which county race won by more than 70%, a Republican. Anybody in here? None. Thank you. Okay. So, the people that are for redistricting, I am clearly against it. Let me make my tally, because I'm tallying each of the meetings. What's wrong with the current map? Why is this issue so pressing that we will spend millions of dollars, because that's what it will cost, not $30,000. You keep saying option 1. What makes option 1 the best, besides the script that you got? And then just deep down, we're all human at the end of the day. We're all people. We're all constituents. We're all residents of Tarrant County. In your heart of hearts, when you look at these maps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, can you truly say that these maps are fair? Even if we were to redistrict, can you say that these maps are fair? You cannot. Thank you.
Jeso Robro, Eno Baker.
Good evening. So that was pretty good. Thank you. My name is J. Swarobo Nalby Carey Jr., and I'm the president of the Fort Worth chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Beta Tau Lambda. Racism has a cost, and that cost is not just paid by those who are black or people of color. Everyone pays the cost. To our neighbor who says she doesn't see color, I'm reminded that I'm black every time I leave my home. I wonder what it feels like to not see race or be seen by it. I cannot say I was born and raised in Tarrant County. I cannot even say I was born in the Southwest. I'm from the South, where every state is racially gerrymandered and minority voices and votes are muted. I was born and raised in Louisiana, a state that is 35% black and has more registered Democrats than Republicans, yet the way the congressional and state legislative districts are drawn where black and minority voices don't matter. My hometown of Monroe, Louisiana, that was strangely segregated where the whites lived to the north and the west and the blacks lived everywhere else. I don't know how that happened. In fact, I-20 was drawn through my grandfather's living room. It was an urban rumor that the city school district was redistricted every time the predominantly white high school needed more black athletes. Well, this isn't a rumor. This is actually happening. A black man from the South is used to district lines drawn to choke out progress, resources, school districts, drown voices, and kill neighborhoods and communities. That is the cost of this type of racism. That is the price paid for cracking and packing. Louisiana and most of the true southern states are living examples of that. And that is what Tim O'Hare is trying to do to us. This is not about precinct 1 versus 2. This is a power grab fueled by the racism, not politics, because Tim O'Hare already has a 3-2 majority. Commissioner Miles can only vote no once, just as Commissioner Simmons. We need 3 votes or more to end this process. It is up to you to talk to your friends and family who live in districts 3 and 4 and demand that they pressure their county commissioners to join Commissioner Miles in voting no to redistricting. It is just that simple. Thank you, everyone.
Blake Mormon.
All right, hello. So my name is Blake Mormon, and I'm a resident of Precinct 1 and a taxpaying constituent of Tarrant County. I'm here today to express my outrage over the process to redraw the county commissioner precinct boundaries. Unless there is some legal reason to undertake this process 5 years before the next census, this process should not go forward. The existing map was drawn and approved after the 2010 census, reviewed after the 2020 census, in which no significant variations were found, and the decision was made to continue with the current map. Since then, every current commissioner on this court and the county judge were elected to office based on the current map, which tells me and the majority of the speakers I've heard address this issue since May 6th that the current map is fine as it is and provided the voters in each precinct the representatives of their choice. Each of the proposed new maps are flawed, particularly in precincts 1 and 2. There's no criteria given why the maps are drawn the way they are. Why is that? Because they were drawn with the intent to target the black and brown populations in precinct 1 and 2, and that is against the law. Thus, the reason no criteria is given. If this passes, in addition, they were drawn to economically hurt precinct 1, which is morally wrong. Thus, no criteria is given. If this passes, Tarrant County will be known as one of the most racist counties in this country. Then we'll see how many visitors will want to come here, how many corporations will want to move here, how many national and international events will want to take place here. Whether or not that's the intent of the commissioners who join the county judge and vote yes on this, that will be the perception. And believe me when I say perception has an economic impact. Do not change the maps.
Calicia Stevenson.
Finally. Okay. So I want to start by saying this. I'm Calicia Stevenson. I currently serve on the school board for Crowley ISD. And ma'am, Ms. Bean, I was there in 2021 when they declared not to redraw the lines. Shortly after they declared not to redraw the lines for the county, they redrew the line for the precincts. So let me give you a little history lesson. In 2021, I received credible information that the current Precinct 6 Republican judge, Charbonnet, had solicited other judges across the county to pressure then Judge Whitley to redistrict just to protect their own seats. I was there. At first, Judge Whitley refused, but the pressure didn't stop. Eventually, just 4 days before the filing of candidates filing for that election, Judge Whitley gave in. He didn't give in just because of the 3 other Republicans, actually the other 4 Republicans, but there was also a Democrat that actually helped out with that. So Judge Whitley, being pressured, had 5 judges he redistricted. So I was there. I was ready to speak out back then, ready to name names and expose what had been done, but I held back. I listened to others who urged the Commissioner's Court not to redistrict. I made my case, not because of politics, but because I believe it was wrong and the voters should decide. And today, I stand again because of the same tactics being used. Let's be clear, it's not right to manipulate districts just to save your seat. Let the voters decide who they want to represent. Another history lesson. It was wrong to carve out 80,000 voters out of Precinct 6 and move them into different precincts just to save their seats. We live in a democracy. Voters should choose their representatives, not the other way around. Let's call it what it is. It's gerrymandering at its worst. It was a deliberate attempt to manipulate district lines for political gains, and it undermined the very foundation for fair representation. This isn't about party lines. This is about protecting the voices of the people. We see what's happening. We know what the commissioner is afraid of. We know that Commissioner Simmons makes him uncomfortable, but she does exactly what she was elected to do, to represent the people. You were elected to do the same, Judge O'Hara, and you're not doing it. So it's time to vote you out. So we ask. So to bring these political shenanigans just to protect the power of is not fair. And it's shameful. Everybody in this room know it's shameful. And what we're gonna do the next election, we're gonna vote O'Hara out. I'm sorry, I forgot to say, as you know, I'm against all those maps.
Janet Mattern.
Hello, my name's Janet Mattern, and it's really great to see a lot of people out and civically engaged in Tarrant County. who knew this is what Judge O'Hare would lead us to? I am against the proposed maps. They are just not fair. One thing that we all have to ask, and we were wanting to ask at the meeting yesterday, and I was told when I called O'Hare's office, who then transferred me to the Tarrant Administrator's office today, that the only way we can ask questions regarding redistricting is to send in an email. So I want to let you know that email address so you can send them questions about redistricting. That email address is redistricting@tarrantcountytx.org. Send them your questions. Let us know what your answers are. It's redistricting@tarrantcountytx.org. As I mentioned yesterday when I spoke, that I'm in Precinct 1. With all new maps, I will be in Precinct 2. I'm half a mile away from Precinct 1 Southwest Sub-Courthouse. And the Southwest Sub-Courthouse in maps 1 through 4 will all be in Precinct 2. I will be in Precinct 2. The Southwest Sub-Courthouse will be in Precinct 2. Where is Roderick Miles' office going to be? It's not going to be half a mile down the road. So that is a concern. So my question was, and still is, what are the criteria that were used to generate these maps? What is the rationale to generate these maps? When you do criteria for redistricting, you should do it in the open. You should do it in front of the people. We have a right to know what your criteria are, because if you don't tell us, we can only guess. And please ask them again, what are the criteria? The other thing, as Roderick Miles' staff was telling us, that there's going to be a major change in services for Precinct 1, meaning that Precinct 2 is now going to have to take care of all the unincorporated roads along the entire Southwest County, even though they are on the other side of the county. That is just doesn't fair, and it will cost us more money. The only map that's good map is the current map. Thank you.
Aaron James.
Good evening, y'all. I just want to let y'all all know that Trump won back in November with an increase in the black vote, with an increase in the Hispanic vote, with an increase in all minority votes. So this idea that it's a racial thing, you guys just need to squash that, because I'll tell you right now, you can keep calling race and creating a divide between your neighbors, but we get so much more done when we work together. If this is political, then make no mistake about it, get out and vote. Rally the troops. Talk to your neighbors, your co-workers. That's how you make and implement change. If you want to make a change, get out and vote. That's it.
Amy Super.
I had hoped for more civility at this meeting than I experienced at the meeting last night. But the tone for that was set by Commissioner Miles, and I'm very disappointed in the way he chose to open this community meeting. You, sir, set the tone for the continued disrespectful interruption of speakers who do not share your perspective on this issue. We as human beings, as neighbors, are capable of giving each other the same level of respect for each person who took their time to show up and publicly speak. Please prove me right on at least this point. I'm all about free speech, but not when it's only being directed at people speaking who simply do not share your opinions. I live less than 3 miles from where we're meeting right now, have for almost 30 years. My kids, now adults, went to school with many of your children, Ridgely Hills, Montague Middle School, Como Montessori, Arlington Heights High School. Yet I don't believe our home has ever been districted on a local level, along with residents of the precinct we currently sit. Make it make sense. Marginalized? You want to protect people from being marginalized or disenfranchised when it comes to voting? Here is the single greatest thing you can do. Spend your time doing to increase the likelihood of that happening. Show up and vote. Less than 8% of our most recent municipal election, that's the voter turnout. To the speaker that asked how many races were decided by more than 75%, at least 6, and I do come with receipts. Countywide, right here. Well, okay, countywide, we'll pull it up. You asked for, I thought you asked for elections. I've got that, I'm happy to provide it. Okay, please, you're taking my time, I'm going on. And I do come with receipts. Almost 80% of residents in Tarrant County are 18 and over, are registered to vote. Something I've heard is that Tarrant County is now a minority-majority county. So if we are a minority-majority county, and if quote-unquote black and brown communities can, as some like to try and lecture me about, only be adequately represented by elected officials from one political party, Democrats, then why are the vast majority of individuals elected in this county from our county level right on up to governors, senators, and current president, almost all Republicans, and done so under the lines, and done so under the very lines that you are fighting to keep right now? That makes no sense. We all know the primary answer to that is pathetic voter turnout across the board. Human beings will always make time to do the things that they prioritize, no matter what sorts of perceived or real roadblocks may get in their way. That includes voting. While I appreciate Commissioner Miles being here tonight, he should have come with receipts to back up his assertions about exactly what we had last redistricted on the county level, instead of admonishing every single one of you to go and get PIRs for that information. Come with your own receipts. Don't direct your constituents to do your job for you. As the former commissioner stated, a study was done in 2021. It determined we didn't need receipts or we didn't need to be redistricted, so we weren't. So it has been 14 years. It's time for new maps. Thank you.
Geraldine Jackie Cox.
I'm here with good heart and intent to try to make some things clear that haven't been. This is the map that is on the county's website that shows how the precincts are currently divided. If you saw it as with the clarity you could see it on the website, you'd see that precinct 2 is mostly Arlington. Arlington is not cut up. Arlington is entire and gets to vote as a community of interest. That matters enormously. The other thing that you see, I heard some complaints about this hook that kind of goes up and across and over there. Those are the boundary lines of the city of Fort Worth. City of Fort Worth is not carved up as badly as it will be if the new lines are drawn. Could we have the next map, please, sir? Okay, this map shows concentrations of where the black voters live. And what you notice is in precinct 2, we have a pretty even spread of decent concentration of black folk. And the city of Fort Worth, Commissioner Miles' district, has most of the black already. So the way they're planning to do it next, can we move it over a little so you can, I guess we got the community lines. What they're planning to do is take black votes out of Miss Simmons' district, this becomes Miss Simmons' district over here. They take most of the black votes out of her district and leave those people without a vote or a voice. That's wrong. You don't have to do that. You could leave us with our voice, please. Now let's see what goes on with the Latin American vote. Could we see that one? Okay. The Latin American vote, you can tell, is mostly up there in what is now Commissioner Ramirez's precinct. Commissioner Ramirez did not choose to have his town hall where most of his voters, Latin American voters, live. He went all the way out to Azle, where I'm sure there are a few Hispanics out there, and there are a few hen's teeth out there, but there aren't many of either. Okay? And Ms. Simmons has a decent proportion of Hispanic voters. With the new map, they take out Ms. Simmons' share of the Hispanic voters, too. Oh, do I not like that? Let's look at the next one. All right, now this is what happens if you combine your black vote and your Hispanic vote. Boy, are we solid. Commissioner Miles is in very good shape under the new map, and so is Ms. Simmons, okay? And that doesn't hang in there as they start dividing them up. I think these maps tell a lot. Visually, you can see what they're doing to the vote. Don't let them do it. I have to ask you, go to the Commissioner's Court. I think it's June 6th. Be down there. Tell them, no, we don't want to be carved.
Bruce Miller.
Well, hi, you all. Some of you may recall that I've spoken about redistricting here another time. Yeah. So I just want to read a letter that I wrote to Judge O'Hare and share it with you. So, dear, in Precinct 4, today I watched the Commissioner's Court meeting online. A few years ago, I followed the process where Fort Worth added 2 new districts following the 2020 census. Redistricting should happen every 10 years following the census. It can be used constructively to keep districts competitive and avoid stagnation, which occurs when the same people are reelected repeatedly for a very long time. This has happened in recent history. To be avoided are cracked and packed districts where change becomes impossible. Besides having nearly equal populations, district maps are supposed to be compact and contiguous and not disenfranchise minorities. The proposed new maps are highly irregular and fail each of these criteria. They pack Democrats into one district, and as Ms. Cox showed you, minorities. They are not compact and only contiguous by a stretch of the imagination. It's unfortunate that the county is not providing demographic data or analysis that needs to accompany any proposed map to be considered seriously. I asked for it, and they said they don't have it. Moreover, there is no opportunity for citizens to use the redistricting software to create their own maps. No legitimate legal firm would have proposed these offered maps or the process being put forward. The new maps represent a power grab by one party and will cause harm to the viability of future elections in the county. They should be rejected, and the whole artificial redistricting process should be terminated. It is disappointing to see the county wasting time and resources on frivolous pursuits during a period of major cutbacks in resources at the federal level. Surely you and our other elected officials can find a more constructive use of the increasingly limited county resources. In summary, the current plan makes a mockery of the democratic process and is an embarrassment for the citizens of Tarrant County. Today you heard from your constituents. I sent this the day of the meeting downtown. Please bring this divisive process to a close. Now, of course, you can imagine, excuse me, that Judge O'Hare responded right away. I hope you realize I'm from New York. That was sarcastic. He didn't respond. I sent Ramirez a similar letter, no response. I called Ramirez. I asked his secretary if he ever responds to me emails, and she said he's too busy, or words to that effect. You know, they get paid over $200,000 a year. I think they should be able to respond to us. Thank you for your attention.
Pablo Calderon.
I was spoiled by the Fort Worth redistricting process a few years ago. They provided the data and the tools in order for citizens over a good length of time to submit some maps. Seeking some information, I went to the website and they said, if you need information, click here. I asked for, please provide me population data by census tract or whatever building blocks were used, including race and ethnicity. Provide a Tarrant County base map with census tracts identified, not just outlines as in these maps. Also provide election results data used to determine the percentages. What they sent me was just simply what's on the website. Minimal maps with outlines of census tracts. You don't know what census tracts they are. The only data they provided were those very basic population figures. And then they said, if you want any, they did say that information came from PILF. They did say then, if there's any further information you need, please submit a Freedom of Information request. I caught at the beginning that maybe there's some data or some more stuff for citizens to be able to draw maps. Do you have Tarrant County maps with census tracts identified to provide us? I'm asking county people right now. Do you have Tarrant County maps available for us with census tracts identified? Do you have the do you have the census tract information, populations by census tracts with race and ethnicity? Do you have the Tarrant County voting precinct map with the voting precincts identified? I'm kind of guessing not, okay? My suspicion is that PILF, and I'm understanding it really wasn't PILF that drew the maps. My suspicion is that they have looked at the Supreme Court and noticed that race and ethnicity as a legitimate issue to be brought forth is being weakened by the Supreme Court. But they have also said that it's okay if on a partisan basis there is some moving around of districts to the point that you might say they're gerrymandered. I'll wrap it up real quick. If that current map is correct, they are indicating that there's a 2% total deviation. And the courts say plus or minus 5%. If that current map is accurate, we don't need a change.
Melody Dottie Munoz.
Hi, neighbors. So my name is Melody, a Tarrant County resident, born and raised. One of my best attributes is telling it like it is, so I want to do that real quick. So the proposed redistrict map in Tarrant County are not just lines on a page. They are lines drawn with intention. These maps are an extension of a long, shameful history of racial gerrymandering in Texas. They are designed not for fairness, but for erasure, right? Erasure of Black, brown, and marginalized voices that have fought tooth and nail for decades to be heard. My grandfather is a resident of Como, decades to fight to be heard. Let's be clear, this redistricting is not about geography, it's about power. And what we are seeing in Tarrant County is a blatant attempt to strip power from historically marginalized community under the guise of process and legality. When we're looking at the cost, when we look at the cost of this endeavor, we talked about $30,000. When we looked at the cost of this endeavor, even if it was free, the cost would still be too great to bear for the morality of this county. Too great to bear for the morality of this county. These maps dilute the voting strength of communities of colors, fracture neighborhoods, and reinforce systems of oppression that harm for generations. Unfortunately, this isn't new. It's a modern tool of the same old racism, packaging disenfranchisement and policy and calling it progress. These redistricting efforts are not just anti-democratic, they're anti-Black, anti-Latino, anti-poor, and anti-justice. We won't stand silent while power is used as a weapon against the will of the people. We're gonna organize, we're gonna mobilize, and we're gonna raise our voices a little bit louder than we are today. And to County Judge Tim O'Hare, if you believe that non-Republicans should leave this county, perhaps it's time to remember, unless your ancestors are indigenous to this land or were forcibly brought here in chains, maybe you should reconsider who truly has the right to belong. We demand maps that reflect the real, vibrant, and resilient fabric of Tarrant County, not ones drawn to erase it. We are watching. Our children are watching. We are ready. We will not be erased. We will fight for we will fight for justice, and we won't be a redistricted away. And Sam, thanks for making it in the room. We appreciate it.
Stephen, last name appears to be Kiel.
That's close enough. I got the shortest, hardest to pronounce Polish name, so I won't ask anyone to repeat it. It's very hard. Good evening, everybody. Howdy. I'm glad I didn't drive out to Azle to see my commissioner. I would have been talking to an empty chair. Would have felt like probably the 2008 Republican convention where Clint Eastwood had dementia, clearly. That's a deep cut for the political junkies. I'm here to speak against the proposed Tarrant County redistricting plan. I want to make that clear because maybe I don't look like it, but I'm completely against this. My neighbors are completely against this. It's a complete waste of taxpayer money. It's a waste of time for our officials. It's a complete distraction from what we actually need to care about. It's explicitly partisan. And as an aside, the officials pushing this plan are not doing much to win the hearts and minds of people in my generation. Granted, my generation's probably not going to vote for 30 years, but they're still not doing a lot when some of the people in this room who are going to be long gone and passed away and hopefully in a better place, they're not going to be voting like you're voting. I want to be clear about that. They're not going to remember some people in this room very kindly for not sticking up to people who are brown, Black, people of color. I'm going off script here, but I do not think it's right to lecture somebody as a white person about what is racist and what is not racist. That is horrible. I don't want to talk about racism because I'm not equipped to talk about that. A lot of people have said that much more eloquently than me. I want to talk about something that will connect with everybody, hopefully in this room. One, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. According to the FY25 county budget, they've cut money to veteran services. They've cut money to the fire marshal's office. The fire marshal. We're a growing county. This was a packed county. On top of that, they dropped and reduced the contribution rate that they contribute to our hardworking county employees' retirement funds. They luckily didn't do that for everybody, but they did that to a lot of folks who work on our roads, who work in our jail. They stopped contributing. What does that do to us? It makes us less competitive overall when we're talking about other counties. Who would want to move here and be an effective steward of our government if we are not paying them and trying to get the best talent here? Moving on from that, on top of that, redistricting obviously invites costly legal battles. We saw this in Galveston County over the last decade. It's ridiculous. It triggered years of lawsuits. That's money and time that our county simply does not have. We're reducing our budget. We stopped funding our fire marshal and our health services like we did in the previous years, but we're paying a law firm that won't even show up to this meeting. We're paying our county commissioners over $200,000 a year, like somebody said. That's 3 times more than median household income in this county, and they can't even show. If I didn't show up to my job, I would be fired, right? So our elected officials, they need to figure out what they want to spend time on. It's upgrading infrastructure. It's preparing for population growth. It's actually talking to the community. Oh, sorry. All right. Thank you. Obviously against this.
Pamela Young.
I just want to say to you, Mr. Aaron, and to the lady in the red hat, how dare you come in here in Como and tell people about how they need to vote? Tell people of color, black people, brown people, Asian people about not voting. Do you understand what voter suppression is? Do you understand the impact that that has on all voters in the state of Texas? This is the hardest state, one of the hardest states in the nation for people who want to vote, who should be voting, to vote. It's called voter suppression. It's real. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act that's trying to be torn away right now by our very county commissioners and judge. So you can keep your lies, and if y'all want to hear the truth, if you want to hear the truth, then you need to show up on, let's see here, May 17th, Saturday, May 17th. It's not a county commissioner or whatever this is, public hearing, but it's a community-led meeting where the truth will be told about what is happening here so that you can prepare for what? The county commissioner meeting on May 20th and on June 3rd when the actual vote will take place. This is great because you're telling pilfer, and poof about what we need and what we're demanding, but we need to come together in our space. So that's going to take place on Saturday, May 17th at Broadway Baptist Church at 3 p.m. Okay, that's this Saturday. Monday, June 2nd at 6 p.m. at Carter Metropolitan CME Church. And these are, again, in preparation for the county commissioners' meetings that will go on the record, okay, where everyone here needs to show up in abundance. Like, we need to multiply the numbers we've had here, that we've had at Azle. Show up to the May 20th county commissioners' meeting. That's next Tuesday, and you'll prepare for that on Saturday, May 17th at Broadway Baptist Church. That meeting is at 10 a.m., the county commissioners meeting, May 20th, where you can give public comment on the record about how this is racial, racist gerrymandering, period, full stop. And it is against the law. And then the last meeting is June 3rd. I heard someone say June 6th. It's June 3rd. That is when the commissioners will vote whether or not we're going to do these dumb maps or we're going to keep the one that is actually legal. That's June 3rd. Show up, and you can prepare for that again on June 2nd, that Monday, I'm sorry. So please show up. Your voices matter. I heard somebody walk out earlier and say, my commissioner is not here. They weren't there. It don't really matter. It matters. Every one of these meetings matters. Keep showing up. You're doing the right thing.
David Hafer.
I live in Benbrook in District 1, Precinct 1. Judge O'Hara, I'm frustrated again tonight as I was last night. I'm having trouble seeing you. Come up here a little closer. I want to ask you some questions. What's that? You don't answer to me? Right. You said that to Commissioner Simmons in a commissioner's court meeting a few weeks ago. But let me remind you, you represent all of the county, not just Southlake and Colleyville. So I'm going to go ahead and with asking you my questions. With the data that was presented, and we think it was the 2020 census, the greatest variation between the districts in the existing map is only 0.2%. So why is this necessary? This whole redistricting scheme was your initiative. Why are you not here? Why were you not at the public hearing in Azle last night? Which of the proposed maps treats everyone you represent fairly? What's the rush to do this? The purpose of public hearings are for elected officials to hear from their constituents. Again, why are you not here? Look at this room. Look how many of your constituents are here. What? You can't see it? Well, let me tell you. There's standing room only right now. People have been standing here for 2 hours. By the way, a representative from PILF, your $30,000 boondoggle, is here also. Probably being paid travel and per diem to be here. He won't even look at me right now. Yet, he's kept standing in the doorway after he was invited to come up to the front of the room. While talking about the room being full, why are there only 4 public hearings for a county of 2 million people, crammed into a 1-week period? Now I want to tell you about what you are doing to my community, Benbrook. Benbrook is a city of about 25,000, and in all of the proposed maps is cut out of its southwestern corner of the county. And it's placed with portions of Arlington and Mansfield about 20 to 30 miles away, diluting our voice. And the final question I have for now is, what's wrong with the quadrant-based map that we currently have? Northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, with a sub-courthouse in each. If redistricting was proven to be necessary to balance population, why not just make minor adjustments in the center along existing boundaries near to the county seat, and keeping communities in the southern part of the county like mine together like you're doing in the north with the 2 precincts in the north? I object to this process. The process is as important as the outcome.
Pastor Edward Spears.
had some prepared remarks, but I'm going to change them slightly. I represent the Pentecostal Ministers Union of Tarrant County, and I'm appalled that we have people here that claim Christ but want to go about disenfranchising those he died for. I'm saddened that we will go back to our churches on Sunday and do the same things that Christ said in Matthew 11, woe be unto you, for had Sodom and Gomorrah known what you knew, they would have done better. If we can sit here with power and disenfranchise the poor because we can, then we're no better than the Pharisees that plotted at night to crucify Christ. I am saddened to see Christians who have the power of faith and the well-being of the Holy Spirit, supposedly, to come here and speak about what they can do because they have the ability to do versus doing what they should do because Christ gave them an opportunity to do. I am saddened, and I have been called out of the comfort of my home. I've taken off days from work. I'm bivocational. The church does not pay me. I tithe to support my church, and I take off time from my job to come out and speak against what is unjust, because we're supposed to speak loud and cry loud and spare not. And if you are a Christian and you can sit here and comfortably look at people being marginalized, disenfranchised, and if you have to cheat to win, then you don't believe in the God I serve. You don't believe in a biblical God that will do the right thing. If I have to cheat people out, if I have to criticize those doing good because they don't follow the wonderful things I'd like them to do, then I'm not following Christ. I am of the same seed that he told those that said they followed Abraham. But he said, if you loved Abraham, you would love me. If you love Christ, you would love these. But you are of your father. You know what you're doing, and you know it's wrong. So you can go back like the White Citizens Council and the Klan and all the other people that use crosses to go back and say they were right. But understand, Scripture says you're wrong. And the God that we all say we serve is watching you. Woe be unto you. I am not judging, my dear. I'm giving you Scripture. God is judging you. Christ said, if you do these things, you are of your father, the devil. Take it up with the Bible. I will not be silent because you are scared to stand on Scripture. We will not be silent. And the Pentecostal ministers are coming together to make sure we support this community, and we will be voting and active, and we will see what God says about it.
Dorothy DeBose.
Good afternoon. I'm Dorothy DeBose, and I'm here to speak against the changing of the maps. I know what it's like to vote. I do vote. And I know what it's like when all folks come out and vote, and that vote is so reduced that they can't win no matter how many come out. It's always strange to me why we can rush and do things and not provide adequate information for citizens to be able to give true input. Maps are out there. When you go out there, you really can't pull them up enough to see what it is. And after I look at it, I'm with you. There is no criteria for me to know what it was built on. So I stand here tonight and say there's nothing wrong with the maps that we have. And when you talk about the census has grown in 2024, but I don't know exactly where they've grown because I've seen them grow in my neighborhood. So it isn't like it just grew right there and they pulled it away. So I'm saying let's leave the maps as they are and ask the judge and the court to hear us because this is not fair. Thank you.
Norma Garcia Lopez.
Good evening, neighbors. Thank you for being here. And Pastor, dang, you spoke truth to power. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Norma, and I live in Precinct 1. Thank you, Commissioner Miles, for being here and for representing my family, my friends, and everybody that lives in Precinct 1. And we appreciate your service to our community. Thank you. I live in Precinct 1. It's a vibrant, diverse, and a growing, continuous community that represents the best of Tarrant County. I'm here today to speak against the blatant and racist redistricting plan. This isn't about fairness or improving representation. It's about protecting political power. They're trying to dismantle our communities of color. It's deliberate and it's wrong. This is a racist gerrymander, plain and simple. To Judge Tim O'Hare, you are not from here. You are not from Tarrant County. You are a transplant who came into our county pushing a racist, divisive agenda from day one. You don't know our neighborhoods, you don't know our people, and everything about your leadership shows that you don't care to. As your people, his people, because they do it every day, tell mine to go back where he comes from. He needs to go back where he came from. And to Manny Ramirez, wow, as a Mexican American, I will say this clearly. You are a disgrace to our community. You are allowing the voices of my community to be erased. You are complicit in this injustice. And how dare you betray the very people you're supposed to represent? How dare you stay silent as the people get gerrymandered out of power? And to Cross, Ramirez, and O'Hare, my family and I are taxpayers. We contribute to this county. How dare you waste our hard-earned tax dollars to hire a private firm just to carry out your political? And how dare the legal representative not come in here and sit among us? That's not governance, that's corruption. You are funneling public funds to manipulate power and disfranchise voters, especially in communities of color. But know this, no matter how much they try to silence us, we are not going anywhere. We are informed, educated, vocal, and ready. Our children are watching, and they see exactly what they're doing. They're trying to defund their public education, dismantle their future, and rig the system against them. But they will fight hard, harder than us, and they will vote. So those that saying that we don't vote, we vote. We have our people, our kids, knowing how to vote, and they're telling their friends who to vote for, especially those that are trying to silence their voices. We will not forget this betrayal. We will not be silent. And how dare people say that this about civility? Every day my community is under attack, under national and local and state level. Every day. Talk about respect. When they don't give respect to my community, I'm not giving respect back.
Whoa.
All right, it's great to see community out here today. Thanks so much for being here, but we have to do more, okay? This is a moment in Tarrant County that it will require every single one of us to do more. And for all the leaders who are speaking up right now, you have to do more. It's not enough just to be here at this mic. It's not enough just to give a speech, Roderick. At this moment, you've got to do more. Everybody in this moment. We got 20 days to stop gerrymandering in Tarrant County. This is a racist attempt to break the law that is the Voting Rights Act, okay? You want to talk about votes, you want to talk about laws, they're in place, and this process is breaking it. Now, as community, we have to make sure that we are voicing what is happening. And O'Hare in office is showing a pattern that he is racist and discriminating against black and brown communities. When funding for Girls Inc. was achieved, he blocked it. That helped support black and brown young girls, right? When the votes in Arlington of young people, a diverse population, were a threat to him, he tried to remove voting polls from the college and from other colleges. That is racist and discriminatory. When the Latino community has representation through a holiday, with the Cesar Chavez holiday, that was brought into our community 25 years ago, he worked to try to remove it. That is racist and removing representation. We have to name these things that are going on, and we have to get loud and we have to get vocal. Our vote is powerful, but our voice is more powerful. And y'all have to get ready to start using this much, much more and demanding family, community, and everybody else to use it. Because until we use our voice as powerful as we know that we have it, will we be able to stop this racist, fascist effort to try to break up our democracy and our power in our communities through our vote. Voter suppression, has been mentioned, is a real thing. So to stand there and act like it's not, you're full of shit is all I have to say, okay? And I'm gonna use my First Amendment right to say, fuck you, O'Hare, fuck you, Ramirez, and fuck you, Kraus. Let's do something about this. Let's come together as a people. Thank you.
Alonda Mass.
I had no intention of speaking, but I wanted to get up here and look at y'all like this. That's the look that I would give my children when I knew somebody was telling a lie. Now, we done sat here and we've heard a couple of people say redistricting has not happened. We heard a couple of people say they were present when it did. So I'm here to say somebody's lying. And I want that confusion to be stomped out before we leave here, because everybody is not going to go look at their website. So I'm asking the young man that pulled up the map, if you'll pull up the county website and let us see when was the last time redistricting was done. Because we've been told 2010, we've been told 2021. AI says 2021. I know what I believe, but somebody will leave here confused about when this was done. So let's just call this lie out right now and find out when was redistricting done the last time. So when people go home and decide how they're gonna move with this thing, you have accurate information. You know when it was done. You don't have to take somebody's word and get confused about that whole thing. The other thing I wanted to say is for the people who are supportive of this, I'm not. But for the people who are supportive of this redistricting, I wanted to ask this group of people to consider how many people will be negatively impacted by it. So sometimes, like just as a parent, I'm just shooting off the head with this, but sometimes you do things that are helpful to other people, not just yourself. Even when you know that what you do will be beneficial to you, you know if you go this other way, it'll help the other people in a lot of other people who need the help better than we need the help. I give not because I have a lot, but I give because other people need something that I have. God will give it back to me. And that poor guy that worked for PIF, he's probably going to have all kind of ulcers and carrying on. Because when you do the wrong thing, it comes back. And I'm going to leave it with that for everybody here. If this mess goes through, they will see it. The people that are for it, the people that created it, and the people that stand behind it. They won't come back and say to us, hey, such and such happened. But it will come back because God sees it all. But for that young man, I'm asking him to show that map up the county website to show the people when the last time redistricting was done. Before we leave here, please.
Izzy Young.
Good evening. My name is Izzy. I work frequently with public servants and candidates for elected office, and I'm a current constituent of Commissioner Simmons, who would be effectively drawn out of her seat if any of these proposed maps were adopted. What I'm about to tell you is no industry secret. It just requires some critical thought. Everyone in this room knows that these maps that are proposed today are unfair. But let's be clear. Republicans notoriously hate the word fair. The party line has always been that life ain't fair. They tell you this because if the systems in place were fair, the entire right-wing platform would vanish. Republicans like Tim O'Hare and Manny Ramirez also happen to hate when you call out their ambition publicly. Know this, these maps are not here to serve Tarrant County residents or their constituents. If they were, Judge O'Hare would not have hired a firm which has cost several of their clients' taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars resulting from litigation over the blatant racial and partisan gerrymandering they are known for. I thought y'all were the party of fiscal conservatism. Instead, these maps are presented in an effort to further the political ambition of Commissioners Manny Ramirez, Judge Tim O'Hare, and Commissioner Matt Krause. Don't believe me? Read some of Beau French's social media posts, or ask Manny Ramirez where he was instead of hearing from his constituents yesterday. Thank you.
Josh Lucas.
Good evening. I'm Josh Lucas. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I was so moved I couldn't help but get up here. I want to echo many of the things that have been said about how this is racial gerrymandering. I think the term gerrymandering came about whenever a place was redistricted to look like a salamander, right? This looks almost like a snake, which I think, yeah, there's some a spiritual metaphor there too. But anyways, I've been going down to Commissioner's Court for almost 3.5 years now, speaking out about the deaths in the jail. I'm a student at Bright Divinity. I go to Broadway. I'm the community ministries coordinator there. I work with the unhoused. I'm on the board of the Justice Network of Tarrant County. And I just want to put into context what's happening in our county. There are people dying in our jail that are people of color and marginalized individuals. And they're dying because of so-called natural causes. And the state is trying to pass a law that basically changes the Sandra Bland Act, where people who die in custody of the jail don't have to go investigate it if they die of natural causes. Robert Miller was arrested here in Fort Worth because he had some tickets, and they took him to jail because he was mad, and he kicked the cop car, and he ended up dead less than 48 hours later, and they said he died of sickle cell anemia. He didn't have sickle cell anemia. Okay, he only had the trait. If that's not the most overt racist thing I've ever heard in my life, living in Fort Worth for 33 years, I don't know what is. Okay, and so rather than address these issues, they've continued to suppress our voice at every step of the way. Every step of the way, they've tried to suppress our voice. But as many people have said here tonight, we will not stop fighting. We will not stop speaking the truth. God has given me a voice. It's my obligation to use it for my neighbors and for my constituents. I'll continue to use it. We need to be vocal. No matter what happens with these maps, let's be clear. This is an apartheid, okay? We can call it gerrymandering. It's not. It doesn't adequately express what's happening in Tarrant County. Ben Crump is suing the county for the deaths in the jail. That's not getting the news right now. But Ben Crump is suing our county for the blatant racist cover-ups of people dying in our jail. And they're redistricting these maps so they can have a 4-to-1 majority and continue to have a 3-to-2 majority, even if we flip the county. We can vote Judge O'Hare out. He's making sure there's a 3-to-2 Republican majority, even if we flip this county, which is larger than 17 states. Okay? That's what's going on. It's an apartheid. And we need to start acting like it, and we need to start selecting candidates. Okay, we need to get behind these people to reclaim our county. I ran for mayor because we've got to flip this county. When Fort Worth turns blue, Tarrant County turns blue. When Tarrant County turns blue, Texas turns blue. And the whole nation, we are the center point. And as Jackie Cox told me, I don't know when we became the heart of darkness, but it's about time we start recognizing it and acting as if. Again, thank you so much for your time.
There's a lot that has been said tonight. And to show the passion that people have, this room is still full. The commitment is that important for us to be here tonight and to let our voices be heard. Thank you for speaking truth to power. Thank you for showing up and letting your voice be heard. Thank you even to those who are in opposition, because you gave us an opportunity to see who you are. And I appreciate you for that. Behind me, you will see, as the lady said, the receipts. We did a redistricting process in 2021 because each precinct was within the variance. There was no need to redraw lines. Just because we did not redraw lines does not mean that we did not have a process, because we did have a process. And just because the process was not the way that some people wanted it does not negate that there was a process. There was a legal process, and there are the receipts. When I said go and make a public records request, I wasn't telling anybody what to do. What I was doing was giving them agency so that they could advocate for the truth and not someone's definition or variation of the truth, but the truth. Because Scripture says the truth will set you free. We need the truth, and not someone's opinion or variation of the truth. There are the receipts. We'll keep it up there as long as we need to so that you can see for yourself what happened and the decision that was made. I'm not going to back off of it, but I will say this. I recognize that I'm here to represent all of the residents of Precinct 1, not just the ones that agree with me. And then you can talk to any constituent, and they will tell you, when you call, I will answer. If you leave a message, I will call back. Why? Because we're human. I can see you for who you are, and I can respect who you are, and I can love you, because that's the commission and the command that Jesus gave me. And I'm not going to change who I am to appease anybody. I'm going to be who God called me to be and created me to be. I know why I'm here. I'm here to serve the people, not my own personal interest. So you have my commitment, ma'am, that if you need me, I will show up, because that's the job. And that's what I committed to do. God bless you. God bless everyone here. Thank you for being committed. Thank you for staying. Thank you for speaking. Have a good evening.